Have you ever wondered how the life of one of America's most charismatic presidents began? In the heart of Brookline, Massachusetts, on a crisp May morning in the year of 1917, the world welcomed John Fitzgerald Kennedy. The second of 9 children, John, or Jack, as he was affectionately known, was raised in a family that thrived on ambition, wealth, and political influence. The Kennedy household was a whirlwind of intellectual stimulation and competitive spirit. Under the watchful eyes of their father, Joseph P. Kennedy, a successful businessman and later ambassador, and their mother, Rose Fitzgerald Kennedy, a socialite and philanthropist, the Kennedy children were groomed for lives of significance. In this stimulating environment, young Kennedy's innate leadership qualities began to emerge. His charisma, resilience, and natural knack for diplomacy were evident even in his early years. A competitive spirit was instilled in him, which later became a driving force behind his political aspirations. As a teenager, Kennedy's life took a turn towards academia. He enrolled in Harvard University in the year of 1936. It was here that he honed his diplomatic skills and developed a keen interest in political science. He was not just another face in the crowd, he was a standout student, a testament to his intellectual prowess and insatiable curiosity. His time at Harvard was not just about textbooks and lectures. It was during these years that Kennedy's political aspirations began to crystallize. Inspired by his father's stint as an ambassador and the tumultuous political climate of the time, he developed a deep-seated desire to serve his country. As he graduated from Harvard in the early 40s, the world was on the brink of a monumental shift. The Second World War was underway, and the young Kennedy was about to step into a world far removed from academic life. Yet his political aspirations remained undeterred. Little did young Kennedy know he was destined for greatness. As we delve deeper into his life in our next scene, we'll see just how this seemingly ordinary young man from Massachusetts rose to become one of the most influential figures in American history. How does a young man fresh out of Harvard ascend to the highest office in the land? John F. Kennedy's journey to the presidency is a story of determination, courage, and an unwavering belief in the American dream. After graduating from Harvard, Kennedy's path to the presidency began not in the halls of Congress, but on the dangerous waters of the Pacific during World War II. As a naval officer, Kennedy commanded a patrol torpedo boat. His leadership and courage were tested when his boat was rammed by a Japanese destroyer. Despite his injuries, Kennedy led his surviving crew members to safety, an act of heroism that earned him the Navy and Marine Corps Medal. Following his military service, Kennedy turned his sights to politics, serving first as a representative for Massachusetts from 1947 to 1953. His charisma, coupled with his family's political influence, propelled him to the national stage. In 1953, he was elected as a U.S. Senator, a role he held until his presidential bid in 1960. The 1960 presidential race saw Kennedy face off against the seasoned politician Richard Nixon. It was a tough battle, with Kennedy's youth and Catholic faith seen as potential drawbacks. Yet, Kennedy turned these perceived weaknesses into strengths, presenting himself as a symbol of change and progress. His masterful performance in the first-ever televised presidential debates further boosted his public image. After a grueling campaign, Kennedy emerged victorious, winning by a slim margin. His youth, energy, and promise of a new frontier captivated the nation. On January 20th, 1961, he took the oath of office, delivering a stirring inaugural address that still resonates today. And with that, John F. Kennedy became the 35th President of the United States. His journey to the presidency was marked by courage, tenacity, and an unyielding belief in the power of the American people. It was this belief that defined his presidency and continues to inspire future leaders. What does it take to leave a lasting legacy as a president? This question is answered in the actions and the impact of John F. Kennedy's presidency. In the early days of his administration, Kennedy established the Peace Corps. This was a bold move, embodying his vision of American leadership in the world. The Peace Corps was not about military might or economic dominance, but about service, goodwill, and shared humanity. It was an embodiment of his belief that every individual can make a difference, and collective action can transform the world. Kennedy's handling of the Cuban Missile Crisis is another defining moment of his presidency. In the face of potential nuclear war, Kennedy showed remarkable restraint and diplomatic skill. He managed to defuse the situation without resorting to military action. It was a nail-biting 13 days for the world, but Kennedy's calm and composed leadership navigated the United States and the world away from the brink of nuclear disaster. Yet Kennedy's presidency was not just about international affairs. He was also a champion for civil rights at home. He was the first president to call for equal rights for all Americans, regardless of their race. In a televised address in 1963, he made it clear that civil rights was not just a legal issue, but a moral one. This was a pivotal moment in the civil rights movement and set the stage for the landmark Civil Rights Act of 1964. It's important to note that Kennedy's presidency was not without its challenges and controversies. Yet his leadership, charisma, and vision inspired a generation. His words continue to resonate, his ideals still inspire, and his actions continue to shape the world we live in. Kennedy's presidency, though brief, left an indelible mark on the nation. His legacy is a testament to the power of leadership, the importance of vision, and the enduring impact of public service. As we look back on his presidency, we are reminded of his call to action. Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. What if your life, your potential, your future was snuffed out in an instant? Imagine the shock, the disbelief, the raw, overwhelming grief. Now multiply that by millions. That was the reality of November 22, 1963, when the world stood still, frozen in time. On that day, in the heart of Dallas, Texas, President John F. Kennedy's life was abruptly extinguished. A motorcade ride through Dealey Plaza turned from a cheerful procession into a scene of chaos and horror. The thud of 3 rifle shots fired from the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository echoed through the city, and America's bright, shining hope was extinguished. But the impact of that day went far beyond the borders of Dallas or even Texas. News of Kennedy's assassination spread like wildfire, consuming the nation in a fog of shock and mourning. From the skyscrapers of New York to the beaches of California, from the vast plains of the Midwest to the Deep South, a collective gasp echoed across the country. The young, charismatic leader who had inspired so many with his vision of a new frontier was no more. The nation wept for a future that would never be. They mourned the loss of a leader who had captivated them with his charm and his eloquence, who had led them through the treacherous waters of the Cuban Missile Crisis, and who had dared to dream of putting a man on the moon. But in the midst of this nationwide grief, there was also a steely determination. A determination to ensure that Kennedy's vision, his dreams, his ideals would not die with him. That the torch he spoke of in his inaugural address would indeed be passed to a new generation of Americans. Kennedy's life was tragically cut short, but his legacy was far from over. The echoes of his words, the impact of his actions, and the memory of his charisma continue to resonate and inspire even more than 6 decades later. A life cut short, perhaps, but a legacy that endures. How does one measure the impact of a man's life, especially one as influential as John F. Kennedy? John F. Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States, left an indelible mark on American politics and culture. In his short time in office, Kennedy introduced groundbreaking legislation and spearheaded ambitious space exploration initiatives, inspiring a generation to dream bigger and strive for more. But Kennedy's impact extends far beyond his political achievements. His charismatic personality and compelling speeches continue to resonate with people around the world, serving as a reminder of a time when hope and optimism were at the heart of American politics. His call to service, encapsulated in the famous words, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country," continues to inspire millions to take an active role in their communities. The Kennedy family, too, has continued to shape American politics, with many members holding prominent political positions. This enduring influence underscores the lasting impact of JFK's leadership and the values he stood for. The fascination with Kennedy's life and tragic death also persists. His story, filled with promise, charisma, and an untimely end, has captivated the imagination of historians, writers, filmmakers, and the public alike. The quest to understand his life, his presidency, and the circumstances surrounding his death continues to fuel countless books, films, and documentaries. And then there's the matter of his enduring popularity. More than half a century after his death, JFK remains one of the most admired presidents in American history. His approval ratings during his presidency were among the highest ever recorded, and in the years since, his popularity has only grown. In the end, the legacy of John F. Kennedy is not just about the policies he implemented or the speeches he gave. It's about the hope he inspired, the change he initiated, and the vision of a better America he dared us to believe in. Though his life was brief, John F. Kennedy's legacy continues to shape America to this day.